Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here with me. My name is Tyler Ellison, and today I'm going to be delivering a special Ryok transmission. We're going to be talking about Stonehenge. So, if you are interested in ancient history, if you are interested in ancient cultures, please sit back and enjoy this transmission. My unconditional love and gratitude for you and for you being here. Please enjoy. Greetings and good day to you all this day of your time. It is our species' highest joy and passion to be able to interact with you and your planet through this channel. We will now dive into the idea that to you represents Stonehenge, the ancient structure that has in many ways mystified many of your archaeologists, many of your historians, and of course, many of you. This structure, in many ways, represents a structure that was erected by the Atlantean people once they had left Atlantis. Atlantis, which in many ways fell approximately 15,000 years ago, dispersed the members of its population across different parts of your planet, what you would consider to be Northern Europe, the idea of Britain, the idea of Ireland. These places became sanctuaries, they became homes for the Atlantean people once their home island, their home base collapsed. However, before the Atlanteans traveled there, the Atlanteans first went to northern Africa, to the area that you know as Egypt. And it was here that the Atlanteans intermingled, let's just say genetically, with some of the indigenous peoples that were living there. And their culture, their world, their teachings then blended with the people that they blended with, whom were in that area. And many techniques related to very advanced forms of construction, architecture, were shared freely amongst many of the people there. And this allowed for very powerful, very advanced structures to be erected. The Sphinx in Egypt is a result of this technology transference. The Great Pyramid, as well, is another example of this. There were also many other structures that were formed using this advanced technology that are no longer present. And this has to do with the idea of different types of political, social changes that Egypt went through along the course of its timeline. However, for different reasons, the pyramids and the Sphinx were kept, and this was done specifically because the pyramids and the Sphinx represent the idea of key locational constructions that allow for earth energy, what you consider to be the kundalini of your world, to be broadcasted through these structures in a way that allows for more of that natural earth frequency to be more available to your species' collective consciousness. It's as if the pyramids take that energy up from the earth and then broadcast it into the idea of your atmosphere, and this then is carried throughout your planet. Now, before the pyramids were constructed, there was, as we have said, many other types of advanced constructions that were built. Now, not all buildings that the Atlanteans, whom left Atlantis, gave rise to were as sophisticated in appearance as the pyramids. There were many stone circles, stone stackings that were also constructed specifically to honor the Lemurian ancestry. For this civilization, Lemuria, which gave rise to Atlantis, worked in ways that were much more simple in relationship to how they constructed buildings, how they interacted with the planet. And to honor that Lemurian origin, many of these stone-stacked circles were constructed. One of the earliest stone stacking structures that your planet has record of exists in Egypt. Now, it's not the oldest. The oldest ones date back to when the Anunnaki first genetically altered the beings you know as Sasquatch to give rise to your species. Those are the oldest stone stacking structures. However, the ones that have been found in Egypt are also quite old, and in many ways they predate Stonehenge. Now, as we have said, the Atlanteans eventually made their way to northern Europe, to Britain, to Ireland, and much of the technology and the energetic and spiritual information that the Egyptians had access to was then shared with the post-Atlantean colonies in northern Europe. So similar structures were constructed in that area, following some of the original designs from Atlantis that were kept intact by the post-Atlantean colonists in Egypt. So the structure, the stone stacking structure that you know as Stonehenge, in many ways represents an homage to the Lemurian ancestors, and it serves a very powerful function energetically. It works in the same way that the Great Pyramids work to broadcast energy. Now, there are some slight differences. These stone stacking structures are in many ways organized and built in a way that reflects different types of cosmic events, different types of stellar alignments. So in many of these stone circles, there are the idea of center stones and the idea of 4 center corner stones. which represent the idea of alignment with what you call the 4 fixed zodiac signs. The center stone as well relates to the idea of what you would consider to be a gateway point. For within the center of those 4 fixed zodiac signs, there is, in a sense, a portal, a doorway that opens, that allows for energy to travel to higher realms of spirit, and it also allows for the energy from the higher realms of spirit to travel down and permeate your physical reality. So these stone structures were used not just as timekeeping devices, but were also used for what you would consider to be ceremonial magic, ritual magic, in a way that allowed for ancient people on certain cosmic days of alignment to gather energy from the cosmos and to then download that energy into the stones. So the stones would become programmed with that cosmic energy. Individuals whom were considered to be, by those ancient people, significant were oftentimes buried around the land where these stone stacking structures were constructed. So that way, those cosmic energies, that portal energy, would then reach the physical remains of the individuals buried there. And this would allow for the energy of those individuals and their bones to then resonate with the stone structures themselves, creating what to the ancient people represented the concept of spiritual immortality. For the idea was, as long as the stones remained charged, those whom were in proximity to the stone structures and those whom were buried near the stone structures would maintain a level of energetic integrity that mirrored the immortality of the stones. And this is why there are remains that are oftentimes found around these areas. Animals were oftentimes buried here as well to symbolize the idea of animal spirit companions to guide different consciousnesses that would use the stone structure as a gateway to be able to travel into higher frequency realities. The pyramids of Egypt are also organized in a way that relates to these types of stellar alignments. In particular, stellar alignments that are relating to the Orion constellation. And the stone stacking circles and structures in both Egypt and in Europe also have this special relationship with Orion as well. The way these structures operated shifted and changed over time. So different cultures that then later inherited these structures would oftentimes repurpose them for different types of things. The core purpose was oftentimes maintained up until what you would consider to be the fall of Egypt, which had to do with the idea of different types of conflicts occurring with other countries in your ancient world. And because Egypt in many ways represented the epicenter of the post-Atlantean energy, as it began to go through issues, this then in many ways disturbed the energetic broadcasting that the pyramids were designed for. Now, the idea is the pyramids still broadcast energy to this day, but not necessarily in the same way that they used to when the Egyptian priests and initiates were working specifically with the pyramids and bringing that earth energy up to the convergence point, the apex of the pyramid, thus broadcasting it to your collective. And once the Egyptian fall occurred, slowly but surely many of these other post-Atlantean colonies also began to have different challenges. And this represented the idea of your species going into, again, a deeper level of forgetting. Specifically so, a true global transformation process could be had. Because understand, these cultures that the Atlanteans merged with, in many ways, were still playing out some of the Atlantean karmic issues that related to power imbalance through negative definitions and applications of one's power. So your collective forgetting that your species went through was actually a way for those high frequency teachings and energies that the Atlanteans were using to then spread to become a part of your entire collective consciousness. So those teachings and those energies would not be hoarded by a few. So now you are all in a position where you can access many of these energies. Many of these technologies you're beginning to rediscover, but in a way that is more contextualized to your culture, to your modern times. So keep exploring, keep playing, keep having fun. For understand, as you allow for yourselves to express those energies of unconditional love, passion, and joy, you open that portal within yourself that allows for Source, all that is, to share with you inspirations, dreams, ideas that you can channel into your own life. So you can experience that revitalization, not only of your own reality, but of your entire species, which is what you are all exploring now. You are all remembering more of who and what you are in a way that is most relevant for your individual and collective journeys. We thank you so much for your attention in this transmission, and as always, our species, unconditional love, joy, and appreciation to each and every single one of you. All right, everybody. So lovely to be able to do this session for you. I hope that was fun. That was a really quick 15 minutes. That felt like 5 minutes for me. So enjoy, everyone. Have a great day, and I will see you all very soon.